tomorrow night at 8 o'clock at the University of Winnipeg's Eckargrammaté Hall, Winnipeg's GroundSwell will open their 2019-2020 season with the NAILl Quartet. The quartet consists of Lori Freedman on clarinets, Nicolas Caloia on double bass, Ab Baars on tenor saxophone, flute, and shakuhachi, and Ig Henneman on viola. Tomorrow night, the quartet will combine their unparalleled musicianship and the avant-garde in a concert that will be sure to be a sonic feast for the ears. Joining me here in our Classic 107 studios is Lori Freedman, Ig Henneman, and the curator for the concert, Jim Hiscott. Welcome to our Classic 107 studios, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, so the first question I have is for Jim. How did you hear about the NAILl Quartet, and what made you decide to program them for this 2019-2020 season?
Well, I've known Lori for many, many years and worked with her a bunch of times, and Lori has been a frequent guest on GroundSwell. And in fact, the most recent time she was on it, we featured a brand new commission of hers, which had a lot of the same sort of textures and feeling that it wasn't necessarily all improvised, but it was a wonderful piece which has really gone on to win awards and be performed around the world. And I heard from Lori that she had a duo, and then there was another duo, and they were going to get together for this special quartet. And it just sounded so fantastic that I thought it would be really great if we had them in Winnipeg, because we have quite a wide range of music on GroundSwell, everything from choirs to small chamber ensembles
to electronic
solos
music,
to folkloric new music, whatever. But we haven't had as much as I would like of completely improvised music, and so there are composed elements mixing with improvised music in this, but this is a really good example of music which is created by the composer, performers, all these four people, and also having the influences also from Amsterdam and from Canada, Montreal. I just thought it'd be a really great combination to bring for our Winnipeg audiences.
So last week I was talking to David Scott, and we were talking about the season and how it was created. Were you the first person? Were you given the first concert was it just decided that you would curate the first concert for GroundSwell?
The way I guess it works out, it's sort of a organic process, and we come up with different projects, and we find out what the schedules of all the different performing groups are, and there's sort of a period where everything gels, and so we may not know at the beginning which concert is going to be first and which will be second. In this case, I think it's great we're starting with the NAILl Quartet, but partly works out who's on tour and when they're touring.
Sounds great. The next question, I'll ask Ig to answer this one. I want to talk about the creation of the group. The quartet is really a combination of two duos, right? The Mercury duo.
Yeah, but this you have to ask to Lori because it's really her idea. So
okay, Lori, I'll let you talk about that one.
What is the creation of the quartet?
How did the group form? Like it's two groups together, right?
My duo with Nick Caloia, Mercury, has been doing a lot of touring lately, and we are always thinking about new projects, new music, and actually, now I'm remembering it correctly, I was talking with Scott Thompson of the Guelph Jazz Festival, and he wanted to give me a carte blanche for what to do something. What do I want to do? And I went through a bunch of ideas before I thought, well, this is so beautiful. Two duos. Two wooden duos,
right?
And who each have a very distinct approach to new music, composition, improvisation. We have very, very different styles and sounds, but together, as we're finding, we've played one concert now,
right?
Last night in Guelph and one in Amsterdam in the spring. We're finding our sound.
So, how did you meet each other? Did you meet?
I've known Ig for
96.
We met in 96. I was invited to play in a group of hers where she was a composer and band leader in Amsterdam. And the rest is kind of history. Very, very briefly, we also had a trio from a very household name in Winnipeg, Marilyn Lerner,
right.
pianist. We had a trio called the Queen Mab Trio, which started out as the duo, and then Ig decided that she wanted to join us, and we thought, yes, please. And so we became the trio.
Oh, that's great.
That's, I think, our history.
So it's my understanding there are works on the program that have been written by members of the quartet, and there's also going to be improvised sections. Are the pieces going to be a combination of improvisation and the piece? Like, how's that going to work?
Yeah, it's a very, a lot of people ask this question, and I'm starting to think that the way to describe it best is that everything is composition.
Right.
And improvisation is one way to compose.
It's instant composing.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's we write things, we draw things, we talk about things. Those are all about composition, that we have some ideas that we want to try, and we actually articulate them somehow before. But always in our music, there is, in every passing moment, because music is about transition, etc., we are leaving the music up to the moment. How do we get from this idea to this idea?
So this is something that's always fascinating me. Are the motivic ideas written down on paper, or do you decide off stage, the four of you are going to walk out onto the group and maybe Ig will start a musical idea or a little musical motive and you'll build off that? Like, how does that process work?
To date, we haven't just made those kinds of decisions. We do it in the moment, those kinds of decisions. What is decided is what's written.
So what would be written down? The form, or?
Sometimes it's a form, like who's going to start and how's it going to transit? Is it going to become a duo? Is it going to become a trio?
Right.
Is it going to become whatever? Sometimes it's a drawing,
right.
And we have to go one line at a time and then turn the page in another direction and do another line. Sometimes it is very standard notation. I mean, like traditional notation that people recognize. Anybody can recognize as traditional standard notation.
So when you're improvising and you're sort of reading off these sort of grids or sketches. Yeah. How is the decision made when exactly the transition is going to happen? Is there a time, like we're going to do this for a certain amount of time, or like how does that work?
Again, it depends on what kind of writing it is. Sometimes it is an entirely musical decision that everybody makes in the moment.
Right.
And other times it is timed. We write with rhythm.
Right.
And we play the thing that's written.
Yeah. So
we know when it's going to move into the transition.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in my mind, I'm envisioning, I've seen on many scores, we'll sort of cycle through this for, 20 seconds, or we may have some sections that will be repeated X amount of times. There's none of that happening. It's it's more spontaneous.
Oh, no, there's some of that. Ig's music has, for instance, a 16-bar, very, very written. We all have a part to read.
Right.
And with a repeat sign, we go back to the beginning and play that same 16 bars. Very like that's what I mean by standard notation.
Yeah, right.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
So, is there going to be any piece that is 100% free form? You guys don't know what's going to happen.
Yes.
We're just going to go out on stage and see what happens.
Yes.
So. How is the program going to be laid out? Like, is it for the second half going to be all improvised, or in the second half, or?
I think that may be a question. I can't remember. There is a program.
Yes, of course, yeah.
And I think it mixes the duos. No, I think I remember. You say.
Jim. Putting Jim on the spot.
Yeah, I don't have the program right in front of me, but it starts with the Henneman Baars duo, three pieces.
Right.
And then three pieces from Mercury, and then the rest of it is the NAILl Quartet, which the last piece in the first half is the first time you'll hear the NAILl Quartet, and then the whole second half will be the four people playing together.
Wow. Okay, so sort of raises another question. Ig, how did you meet your partner, Ab Baars? Like, how did that collaboration happen?
In the BIM House in Amsterdam. It's a famous Amsterdam venue. And I knew Ab by name. He's already then a prolific tenor sax player.
Right.
By the way, he didn't bring his tenor sax for this tour. He only plays clarinet and shakuhachi. So that's beautiful with Laura, all these wooden sounds and the shakuhachi. I met him there, and I met him in the studio for a ballet recording from a friend of ours, a composer. I remember now. Anyway, that's where it started in the BIM house in 1983.
And so
many years ago.
You were just hanging out and decided that you wanted to create a...
We became partners also. And as a duo, we started in 1999. We both had our own bands already at the time. And we joined each other's bands. And then at a certain period, we lived in Rome for a couple of months. There was this festival, and they said, why don't you play a duo set? And we said, no, we are together always. A duo set, why should we do that? Just try it. And it was really something we loved to do. We could prepare it when we were there. And since then, we are a duo. So it's 20 years now.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. And Lori, how about you? How did you meet your friend, the double bassist Nicolas?
I met Nick in Montreal. We're both not from Montreal, but we've been living there for over 20 years.
You're originally from Winnipeg, right?
No, I'm originally from Toronto.
Okay.
I did live in Winnipeg.
But
I'm from
Toronto.
You were
from Winnipeg.
Nope.
Okay.
And like Ig and Ab, the city has a community of different kinds of music. We played in different ensembles together, and loved playing together.
Right.
And decided to play together.
Yeah. And just put the two groups together.
That's what we did.
That's great. This concert tomorrow night is part of a concert tour. Lori, do you want to talk about where you're going to be after Winnipeg and some of the upcoming dates off the top of your head?
I can do that.
Okay.
So yesterday we started in Guelph. That was the beginning of the tour.
Right.
We went to Winnipeg. Here we are. Yay.
Yeah.
And then the day after we go to Hamilton. And then we go to Montreal. And then get this, we come backwards to Waterloo. Toronto.
Okay.
So from Montreal back to Toronto.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
And on to Waterloo. Because there's a new music series in Waterloo, similar to GroundSwell, called Numus.
Mm-hmm.
And then to Halifax.
Wow.
It ends in Halifax.
And from what I could tell from the schedule, it's pretty intense. It's one day after the next, right?
Yeah.
Not a lot of staying up late. Getting up early for plane flights on the next day. Great. And Jim, I'm presuming tickets for the concert are going to be available at the door tomorrow night?
Yes, that's right. And we're actually also prepared to give away a couple of pairs of tickets if you would like.
Okay.
After this interview.
We can do that.
And so I'll let you organize that, of course. But tickets are at the door. You can phone GroundSwell, but it's really getting kind of close to the wire right now. So please just come, or you can phone. GroundSwell's telephone number is 204-943-5770. So you can phone and leave a message, or just come to the door.
Oh, that's great. Ig, Lori, Jim, it's been just great having you here in our Classic 107 studios. Thanks so much for coming and talking to us about the concert tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Right?
Big pleasure.
Yeah.